This week, I do have Mass Effect Legendary Edition 3 complete games for $4.79, The Witcher 3 Complete Edition under 10 bucks, and this week I'm also going to give you the honest negatives, not just what I love, but what also I thought held each game back. 30 games, and welcome back to the 4 a.m. Gaming Historian. 45 years of gaming. This week, a viewer asked me to include the honest negatives alongside the positives, and guess what? I completely agree. You do deserve the full picture. 30 picks, and let's get to it. Mass Effect Legendary Edition is 3 complete games, the entire trilogy for $4.79. I need you to sit with that for a moment, making choices from game 1 all the way to the end. Watching those decisions reshape the galaxy across 3 installments is one of the greatest narrative achievements in gaming history. And simply getting to know your crew on the Normandy between missions, Garrus, Tali, Liara, Rex is a great time in all of its own right. The honest negative, though, the ending of Mass Effect 3 could have left bitter taste in your mouth. The community controversy was real and legitimate. Go in knowing the journey is extraordinary and prepare yourself emotionally for a conclusion that divided millions of players. The trilogy is still essential. Just consider yourself warned. Pick it up. Every quest in The Witcher 3, main story or side quest, was simply great to play, and I mean that without any qualification. Raw violence, complex political choices, and the best voice acting I've ever heard in any game. The DLC expansions Blood and Wine and Hearts of Stone are the best DLC ever made, and some players actually consider them better than the main story, which is a remarkable achievement. Under 10 bucks for the complete edition with everything included, the most content-rich $10 in gaming you're ever going to find. I love the RoboCop movie, and Rogue City delivers on the nostalgia completely. Playing as Alex Murphy, feeling like a genuine tank walking through criminal threats with complete slow authority. The fanfare of inhabiting that character from start to finish never wore off. The gunplay is satisfying, and the game makes you feel exactly like RoboCop should feel. Unstoppable, deliberate, and completely committed to the bit. Under 5 bucks for pure movie license love done properly. Pick it up. Wreckfest has top-notch vehicle damage modeling, and the sweet spot it occupies between hardcore simulator and goofy arcade racer is exactly right. Everything felt balanced for this kind of game, and the destruction racing loop is deeply satisfying. Let's talk about the negative. The single-player campaign was pretty lackluster. I personally love a good career mode, and Wreckfest was pretty thin. There's also no local split screen, which for a game built around chaotic multiplayer fun is a genuine missed opportunity. $3 for the best vehicular destruction on PC. Just go in knowing the solo experience is where it underdelivers. Remnant 2 is the Dark Souls with guns, and the combat earns an A+ from me without hesitation. The procedural generation creates god-tier replayability. Every run generates different loadouts, different enemies, different items, and the character progression and combat builds are top-notch throughout. Under 13 bucks for one of the finest Souls-adjacent shooters ever made and one of the most replayable games on today's entire list. Deep Rock Galactic scales beautifully when playing solo. You receive a smart drone companion, and the fully destructible level design means every mission plays completely different. The loop of mining ore and clearing insect swarms is pretty satisfying. Now, that loop honestly can become repetitive over extended sessions, and it could take hours to find your next upgrade in the endgame progression system. If you want a tight, focused experience every session, this can occasionally test your patience. But for co-op, this remains one of the greatest games ever made. Under seven bucks for the deluxe edition. Pick it up. I played It Takes Two with my daughter, and it is brilliant co-op with relentless gameplay variety that kept both of us engaged all throughout. Every chapter introduces a completely new mechanic, and the creativity just simply never runs dry. Now, when I think about some of the negatives, I do want to be specific here. There's a guidebook character in this game that is the most insufferable and annoying character in gaming history, and I was looking at you, Jar Jar Binks. I am not exaggerating. You have been warned. If you can tolerate that character, the game around him is genuinely extraordinary. Under 12 bucks for the finest co-op experience available on PC. Pick it up. Cameo System and MK1 calling in the classic roster characters for assists created some genuinely cool, unique playstyles, and the rebuilt visual presentation was stunningly beautiful. This is the best looking Mortal Kombat ever made by a significant margin. Some of the items I did not like, let's talk single player. As the invasion mode, I found pretty boring and repetitive. Being forced to use specific combat modifiers made me quit the game fairly quickly. For the versus experience and the core fighting, this game is going to be excellent. For solo content, expect something that will test your patience before it rewards it. Under 10 bucks, pick it up. The Just One More Turn addiction in Civilization 6 is at its absolute strongest, and the endless strategic variety keeps every game generally different from the last. The honest negative, though, the AI is completely broken in this game, genuinely irrational, doing some of the dumbest strategic things imaginable in ways that undermine the challenges in the mid to late game. And late game micromanagement becomes a genuine chore as your empire expands. $6 for one of the most addictive strategy games ever made, with the caveat that you are playing against a deeply flawed AI opponent. The top-down isometric perspective in Darksiders Genesis just felt right. A genuinely fresh approach for the franchise, switching between war and strife was satisfying, and customizing your stats created genuine build investment. One of the things I did not like is when you think about the mid-game, it is going to grind to a halt. The pacing threw me off significantly as the game pivots into fetch quests and enemy grinding that disrupts the momentum the opening hours build so well. Push through it, and the final act will deliver. $4.50 for a Darksiders entry that takes genuine creative risks, even if the midsection tests your commitment. Pick it up. The base cars and tracks in Assetto Corsa were laser scanned for near perfect detail, and the rewarding sense of progression through increasingly demanding events was pretty excellent for sim racing fans. Now, I do have some things I don't like. So, outside of the laser scan vehicles, the environment looks severely dated. Static 2D crowds, flat trees, very noticeable against the otherwise impressive car models. The single player experience is also just a checklist of races with very minimal structure. Under $5 for the finest driving physics available on PC if you can accept presentation limitations that show the game's age. Pick it up. Titanfall 2 has the best first-person shooter campaign ever made. I have played it through multiple times and it never gets old. The level design is creative and surprising throughout. The mech combat was fast and spectacular, and the relationship between your pilot and BT-7274 creates a genuine emotional investment in a way that most action games never attempt. Under $5 for the greatest FPS campaign in gaming history. If you have not played Titanfall 2, stop reading this and just go buy it already. Alice Madness Returns has movement that's incredibly snappy and rewarding, and the old-school action-adventure design with retro combat weapons is pretty satisfying in the early hours of the game. The gameplay structure, though, is going to hit a massive wall and becomes mind-numbingly repetitive. The lock-on camera is highly erratic and becomes genuinely frustrating in group combat situations. $2 for a visually extraordinary game with a fascinating dark fantasy take on Alice in Wonderland. Just know the back half will test your patience significantly. Miasma Chronicles has highly satisfying turn-based grid encounters and exceptional graphics. It has the DNA of Mutant Year Zero written all over it, and that is a pretty genuine compliment. A couple of things I do want to talk about. The narrative execution is pretty cheesy with some genuinely awful dialogue, and the game relies heavy on stealth, cheesy mechanics that you essentially must exploit to progress effectively. If you enjoy the tactical challenge of Mutant Year Zero and can tolerate a weak story, under $11 for something this visually impressive is still worth it for tactic fans. I played Portal Knights with my daughters, and they loved the sandbox block building and casual RPG progression. The procedurally generated islands connected by portals, each bringing unique NPCs and specific resources, give the world genuine variety. The single player, though, to me was pretty tedious. I did not enjoy it at all when I played by myself. This is a straight co-op game first and a solo game a distant second. If you have someone to play with, under $11 for a great family co-op experience. If you're playing alone, I would look elsewhere on today's list. Two high-octane games in one, and Shadow Generation specifically is the single best 3D Sonic gameplay in over a decade. The movement, the level design, the speed, it all clicks in a way the franchise has been struggling to achieve for years. Now, let's talk about the actual narrative writing and cutscenes, as they are completely flat and forgettable. If you're playing Sonic for a story, you're going to be disappointed. If you're playing for the pure kinetic joy of movement at speed, $15 for what might be the best Sonic ever played, check it out. The character and weapon crafting on Biomutant is the crown jewel of the game, genuinely creative and deeply satisfying. The open world is vibrant and charming with a visual personality unlike anything else. The honest negative, the narrator is pretty insufferable. The NPC dialogue is slow and boring, and there is lots of empty space with repetitive enemies. Under $10 for a game with genuine creative vision that is undermined by execution issues across its open world. Worth it for the crafting system alone if you can tolerate the presentation problems. The fluid hack-and-slash combat in Kingdoms of Amalur is genuinely excellent, and the ability to seamlessly respec your character at any vendor and swap between character types at will is one of the most player-friendly design decisions in any RPG. One of the things I did not like, the world is huge, but also pretty lifeless. In mid-game, you can craft wildly overpowered equipment early on, which makes the rest of the game significantly too easy. Under $10 for the best combat in any open-world RPG at this price. Just know the world around that combat is not as compelling as the fighting itself. Pick it up. The Derceto mansion in Alone in the Dark is wonderful, creeping through quiet corridors, gathering clues, piecing together the mystery, and for a rare thing, I genuinely enjoyed the campy climax of the ending, which embraced its own absurdity completely. Couple of things I did not like. Once the combat begins, you will see exactly where the game falters. Stiffy, floaty, and frustrating combat that feels completely disconnected from the atmospheric exploration that precedes it. Under $14 for a great atmospheric mystery with combat that's going to let you down significantly. The spell creation system in Tyranny is god tier, generally one of the most creative magic design systems in any RPG ever made. The 20-minute text-based intro where your choices radically rewrite the entire world state before you play a single combat encounter is one of gaming's most unique and compelling openings. The honest negative, enemy variety is extremely limited and the build imbalance is pretty severe. Magic-focused characters win entirely over weapon-based builds, making the combat feel unbalanced throughout the entire game. Under $8 for the greatest RPG intro ever made in a spell system that never gets old, pick it up. Outcast: A New Beginning has a wonderful, campy 90s action adventure sci-fi vibe that I generally loved. The jetpack and wingsuit upgrades are the best feature, pure Just Cause energy, and I loved every moment of them. The gunplay is also enjoyable throughout. Let's talk about combat, because I will say outside of the gunplay, the melee is pretty horrible, and the enemy AI and pathfinding were pretty weak. Under $10 for the jetpack and wingsuit experience alone, just know the combat around those movement tools can be pretty inconsistent in quality. Pick it up. Once you find your flow state in Mirror's Edge, the game is completely unmatched, vaulting over pipes, sliding under grates, building momentum through a white-on-red urban environment that is still visually distinctive today. Pure end-to-end parkour joy at its finest. Let's talk about some negatives. The narrative is predictable, and the forced gunplay sections are the most hated aspects of the game for good reason. They feel completely out of place in a game built around movement and momentum. $7 for one of gaming's greatest movement experiences. Just brace for the gun sections. I warned you. Pick it up. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons remake uses Unreal Engine 5 to deliver breathtaking graphical upgrades to one of the gaming's most poetic single-player experiences. The original was a masterpiece, and the remake makes it more beautiful than ever. The control scheme, though, does require serious mental gymnastics. Each thumbstick controls a different brother simultaneously on a single controller, creating a steep curve that is genuinely frustrating until it finally clicks. Under $7 for a short but genuinely poetic gaming experience. Just be patient with the controls. Pick it up. The graphics in Destroy All Humans fit the campy tone perfectly, and the modernized controls make a genuine difference to how the game feels. The remake improvements are real and meaningful throughout. Some of the things I did not like is, why does every game need a stealth mechanic? Destroy All Humans is at its worst when it forces stealth sections, and at its best when it lets you cause maximum alien chaos. Some missions are also going to get pretty repetitive. $6 for a campy alien invasion fun at its most committed. Avoid the stealth sections if you can. A creature editor in Spore and stitching together custom 3D life forms is what made the game for me. One of the most creative and most accessible design tools ever put in a mainstream game. The initial cell stage and the RPG exploration of the creature stage with its eat or be eaten arcade loop was deeply satisfying. Now, mid-game is going to become incredibly repetitive, bare bones, slow, simplistic grind in the civilization and space stages. The game peaks in the creature stage, and nothing that follows quite matches it. Under $4 for the finest creature creator ever made. Just know the back half significantly underdelivers. The gorgeous cartoon overall and Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated is exactly right. Vibrant, colorful, and completely faithful to the show. Swapping between SpongeBob and Patrick is fun, and the legendary jokes and references will have any SpongeBob fan smiling from start to finish. Now, the controls do feel clunky and outdated in places. This is a remake of the early 2000s platformer, and that era's design conventions are going to show through. Under $8 for pure Bikini Bottom nostalgia done with genuine care and affection. Pick it up. Prime boss Rockay City has genuinely engaging turf war metagame, managing cash flow, recruiting members, and performing heists in a pure 90s B-movie nostalgia package with an awesome cast of characters. Having an awesome cast of characters means they better deliver, but the dialogue delivery is horrible despite the impressive voice cast. The level design is repetitive, and I expected significantly more variety than the game ultimately delivers. Under $2 for something this entertaining, though, in concept, at this price, the limitations are completely forgivable. The care with the visual assets in the Command & Conquer Remastered collection is 100% noticeable and appreciated. They treated these classics with genuine respect. For what you get, this is a tremendous amount of content. Now, leaving the game mostly as is means the outdated gameplay design is still going to be there. The unit pathfinding is still brain dead in the way real time strategy veterans remember, but it is still pure nostalgic fun for anyone who played the originals, and under $4, the value is beyond question. The Hunter Call of the Wild has photorealistic graphics, and it is the perfect dad simulator, meditative and ultra relaxing as a faster and more accessible hunting experience. I loved every session when I climbed into it. The learning curve, though, is still deep, and chasing a single deer for hours only to have it run off right before your shot is genuinely maddening. Patience is not optional in this game, it is going to be mandatory. Under $2 for the most relaxing gaming experience available, just prepare yourself for significant deer related frustration. All four Gotham Knight characters feel completely different from each other, and the build and gear customization was highly exciting and consistently rewarding throughout the game. The loop, though, of generic street crimes to advanced basic story checkpoints became very repetitive and felt like padding rather than content. The bones of an excellent Batman universe game are going to be here. The surface loop just lacks the variety to sustain it. Under $12 for one of the most generous build systems in any superhero game, the character of variety alone, to me, does justify the price. Pick it up. We are at the end of the video. 30 games in Mass Effect Legendary Edition for $4.79 is the most absurd value this channel has ever featured. 3 complete games, shaping the galaxy, getting to know your crew, $4.79. Get in there before these deals disappear. And thank you to the viewer who asked me to include the honest negatives. This is how it should have always been done. Hit subscribe. Every Tuesday I'm back with 30 more. Remember, hit F5, reset, reload. I am F5 Dad. I'll see you on the next video.